We're back at the Elastic Public Sector Summit here in Washington, D.C. We're joined right now by a neighbor, almost. Ian Lee joins us from Lawrence Livermore Labs. Tell me about your relationship with Elastic and how you use Elastic.
Sure. So we've been an Elastic customer for about 3 years now.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, about 3 years. We started as a Splunk shop. That's what DOE primarily is. And so we started with a logging observability use case and really looking to do more reachbacks. We wanted to get more into security, more into large volumes of metrics to support our new supercomputer efforts. And we looked at Elastic as a way to get the performance up from where we were before.
What is the data set that when I think about Elastic, I think of analyzing data, right?
Sure.
You can do lots of different stuff with it, search, security, observability. But what is the data set we're working with here? Because everyone, maybe everyone didn't see Oppenheimer, but when you think of the rich history of Lawrence Livermore Labs, it goes all the way back to those kinds of programs, but I don't really understand the data implications of what you guys are doing.
So for us, I sit in the High Performance Computing Center, so the big supercomputer facility.
Yeah.
And for us, it's a lot of log data, very large systems, very active systems, so lots of event logs that are happening, both security and application logs that we want to pull in and do our analytics on. And increasingly over the last couple of years, we've had a growth of metrics use cases. So we have these large supercomputers. El Capitan is our current largest, just at number one on the top 500 list.
Yep.
It's a 1.7 exaflop system. And so they want to make sure that they can gather the metrics about how that hardware is working, how it's performing.
Interesting.
Note things like temperature, power, voltage, all these sorts of very low level metrics that they want to gather off the system. And so that use case by itself actually dwarfs our log ingest, our security log ingest.
Do you run different sort of data sets or problems against that computer to see how it performs and then measure it using Elastic?
There's some of that. A lot of it's for just is the system healthy itself? So they want to make sure our temperature's drifting over time, how is the underlying performance of the hardware. This is one of these one-of-one systems, right?
Yeah.
It's the first deployment of this particular chip from AMD, and so they are still kind of working out.
Oh, right. AMD has boasted about this in their press releases a lot.
Yep.
And the conference calls recently.
AMD and HPE. So HPE is the integrator, AMD is the main chip. So this APU that we got.
Yes, it was the HPE press release for last quarter too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's been the big news. So the top 500 announcement was November.
Yep.
And it's been quite the thing. The official dedication was January, I believe.
It's what a fascinating thing to work on.
Yeah.
And how is the OS and how does it different from what's out there for something like that?
For the most part,
is it also one of one?
No, not so much. So it's a Linux operating system. We're based on Red Hat, but we actually roll our own HPC focused operating system on top of that. So you can effectively think of it as a fork of Red Hat, but it's not
interesting. And does that make the observability issues or that you're running sort of more important or unique because there isn't a lot to compare it to?
It is, yeah. I would say the more uniqueness comes from the fact that we have many copies of the same underlying OS with the same file systems. So where an HPC cluster has typically one compute image, and that's booted across all the nodes.
Okay.
And they're typically sharing the same file systems off of one point of the cluster, like a management node.
Right.
And then they typically have the same file systems. So when you're doing things like looking at the health of a file system, you might be getting 10,000 results back from all the nodes of a system, but it's really the same one result about the same one underlying file system.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of a unique thing for us versus a more distributed enterprise environment where every system is kind of its own island. We're not that way.
It's really interesting. So what would it look like if you didn't have Elastic?
A lot slower. So our reach back and our look back on data was quite a bit slower, and the range we could look back on was quite a bit smaller. So we used to be able to look back a day, a week, maybe a month. Now we're starting to be able to do searches for more like threat hunting, security type use cases. That's where my background is. That go back 3 months, 6 months, a year potentially for some of the data that we're looking through.
Is this computer a target for hackers?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it a unique target because it's so big they want to show they took down the Goliath?
I think probably all of our systems are a unique target. So we have a mix of unclassified and classified systems, and all of them are national resources that can do a lot of compute.
Are you saying that like I always say all my children are my favorite when it's really Ruby?
Yes.
Okay. It's fascinating stuff. Ian Lee with Lawrence Livermore Labs here at the Elastic Summit here in Washington, D.C.